Am I the jerk for making my coworker cry? I, 33 male, work at a lumber mill and one of our manager's sons, 25 male, works with us. He's a cool enough guy and I feel like I would probably get along with him well enough if we didn't work together. The unfortunate issue is we do, and he's the classic management's son profile. He sits on his phone while we're supposed to be working all the time, even in front of management. His father is about to be getting a corporate promotion soon and the rest of management is nervous to step on his toes. Thus, his son feels untouchable and somewhat sits on his phone while people around him work, walks off from jobs he doesn't want to do, tries to order around coworkers. 3 times he's crashed a forklift into the building, 1 time taking out a bay door that was $150,000 to fix. Yet nothing happens. I'm very well liked by my peers and management both. I make it a point to be super kind to each person around me, jump in if someone is struggling, and I don't like to see people get overwhelmed. I try to be a model employee and someone people can trust to help them if it's needed. We are a team of 45 people and I want them all to know they can depend on me. That being said, I walked into a situation where the manager's son was standing idly by while someone had too large of a load on their shoulders and went down hard. I immediately got the lumber off of my coworker, proceeded to check on him, and once getting the hurt employee to get medical attention, ended up just being bumped and bruised. I lost my crap a bit. I found the manager's son in a group of people, standing around watching them work. After just letting someone else get hurt, he should have done what any of us would have done and helped our coworker carry the load, and I proceeded to yell at him, borderline scream, about how he's an unreliable jerk, how he's always on his damn phone, and most of all he's a lazy daddy's boy. I went on about how dare he stand by and watch someone get hurt when he could have prevented it. I went off for a full 5 minutes while everyone around us chuckled and agreed what a loser of a worker he is. I was expecting him to yell back and maybe swing on me. Instead he blushed so hard his entire head was purple, he stumbled over his words, nobody knew what he was trying to say, and worst of all he started crying. Bad. He ended up leaving for the day and I have felt like a jerk. I am not the person at work to tear someone down like that. Management got a chuckle out of it, even his own dad, and said he's going to be on probation for the way he's been acting. I faced no consequences for my outburst. I still feel like a real tool for losing my cool in handling it that way. I could have used it as a learning experience and instead I humiliated a guy in front of a bunch of his buddies. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. The guy being on the phone is a hazard in such a workplace. I'd recommend you have a conversation with him where you apologize for the earlier incident but at the same time highlight the frame of mind you were in when you lost your cool. Personally, I'd also highlight the dangers involved and stress the benefits of working as a team and looking out for one another. We all come to work to live, to feed ourselves and our families. Let's ensure it's a safe and productive environment. Not the jerk, but why not use this as a learning experience now? Apologize to the guy for the way you went about it, but then maybe use this as an opportunity for you to learn how to better manage people. A necessary skill to possess even if you never hold a management position. Maybe be straight with him. Tell him you're frustrated because you watch him day in and day out take his position in this company for granted, and does so on the back of his father's hard work and achievements. Let him know that if he doesn't feel any responsibility toward his job or his coworkers, he could at least feel some toward his father. Tell him that he's in a better position than most to learn and grow in the company quickly, and he's epically blowing that opportunity and possibly putting his dad's career potential in jeopardy in the process. Then remind him he's a good kid, but he needs to get his shit together or move on. Update from OP. Today I went in early, found manager's son, and I apologized for the way I went off on him. I calmly explained to him that his habits are unprofessional and are endangering other people. I offered to mentor him at work and he could work shoulder to shoulder with me for a few weeks and together we could increase his work ethic. He agreed and apologized for the way he's been conducting himself, and that he's self-aware that he needs to step up or step off. I went and talked to the management team, including his dad, and told them my offer to have him work with me. They all agree it could be super beneficial and thanked me for going above and beyond. After this meeting his dad, manager, pulled me to the side. He and I have been super close since I started, and he was sort of teary-eyed and thanked me for not turning it into a bullying situation and he is interested in mentoring me to be his potential replacement when he goes corporate. Thank you all for the great advice. Am I the jerk for shutting off the home Wi-Fi so that my wife would stop working? I, 35, have been married to my wife, 30, for 3 years, and before that we dated for 6 years. She is also 8 months pregnant with twins. She's my best friend and I absolutely adore her, with one minor flaw: she is a huge workaholic, perfectionist. While we both have very well-paying jobs, Jin's job is way more stressful and time-demanding. Even though she is brilliant and amazing at what she does, she often works around the clock, on average, 60-hour weeks, at home and in office. This wasn't a problem before, but about 2 weeks ago her doctor told her to take a step back from work, that is, go on leave early, because the stress was starting to cause her a couple of health issues, even though the babies are fine. However, being the workaholic that she is, she has still been working from her laptop 6-8 hours every day. Which, fine, I understand that she had a couple of cases that she needed to finish. But most days she was so focused on work that she was forgetting to eat meals and falling asleep at her desk. So, yesterday when I got home, I realized that she had done the same thing again. I woke her up and told her that she needed to go rest in bed. She insisted she was fine and said there was an emergency with a client of hers and she just needed to finalize some things for a coworker. I asked her just to take a break first and take a nap, eat, but she said that she would once she was done and that it wouldn't take her more than an hour. I told her fine, but no longer than an hour, even though I was pretty annoyed. So, 2 hours later when she was still working, I became frustrated and unplugged the Wi-Fi and put the cable out of sight. The only purpose of this was to cut her off from work on her laptop because she clearly had no intention of stopping. Once she realized, she yelled at me, called me a jerk, and she said that I was treating her like a child and accused me of being controlling, condescending, and borderline abusive. I told her that she is being stupid and just to let the coworker that asked for her help to handle it. I said that she was free to use the mobile hotspot on her phone, or figure out the router herself, but otherwise I would plug it back in when I woke up, which I did. She was so mad that she slept in the guest room, and when I went to apologize the next morning for calling her stupid, not for cutting the internet, she said that she can't even look at me. She hasn't said another word to me yet. I'm starting to feel like I might have been a bit extreme, even if I only did it out of concern. But honestly, overdoing it by trying to meet deadlines that she's not even supposed to be responsible for. Am I the jerk? You're the jerk. She said that I was treating her like a child. You are. She accused me of being controlling, condescending, and borderline abusive. If the shoe fits, to a certain extent, I get your concern, especially if her doctor sets limit stress. Does she need better work-life balance? Probably. But the way you deal with that concern is not by taking away your wife's autonomy. That's just unacceptable in a relationship. And frankly, given that your wife is a perfectionist and worried about work deadlines, you probably caused her a lot more stress by cutting her off from the Wi-Fi, hiding the cable and demanding that she go take a nap like she's an 45-year-old. I'm going with everyone sucks here. Your wife seems like she needs to figure out a healthy work-life balance before she does start affecting the child's health, and should probably seek some professional psychiatric help with the whole working so hard she forgets to eat thing. On the other hand, you cutting the internet didn't help the situation. It added to the stress, caused problems between you both when you should be working as a team, and she is right, it was controlling. Edit from OP. So, yeah, heartbroken bar. I wrote this thinking it would get 20 comments at most. Jen and I had a calm discussion about last night, pretty much immediately after I posted. She called me on my crap, told me that I only stressed her out more by cutting the internet, something a lot of people pointed out, and we both decided what we would respond if the other person was acting in a way that was harmful to our family so that we both would feel respected. I apologized for calling her stupid, and she apologized for calling me abusive. Broken bar. As it turns out, neither of us meant the name calling. I promised to trust her judgment. She promised not to overdo it with work. I mentioned that we should go to therapy at least once before the boys are born, and she also thought it was a good idea. We made up, got burgers, and she passed out on the couch. But I do agree that I was in the wrong here, and I accept my, "you're the jerk," judgment. It's deserved and I'm going to work on myself. Side note, it is horrifying that so many people were able to make out exactly what she does from what little I said about her job. She is a pretty kick-ass attorney though. Am I the jerk for wanting my coworker to call me my name? I, 22 female, have been going by a nickname since I was 10 years old. I've never really liked my real name. It's associated with a super girly character, and I don't relate to her at all. I started a new job last September, and things were going great. No one questioned why I had decided to go by nickname. They just respected the fact that I preferred it to my real name. We got a new coworker in January, and she found out my name I go by wasn't my real name. So she started asking me questions every day for a week. Examples: what's your biological name? And what's your real name? Even asking me what my middle name was. I told her that my nickname is what I prefer to be called, and she dropped it for a day. Somehow, she found out what my real name is, and started to say things like, "I don't understand why you go by X, because your real name is so much prettier." And even going so far as to start calling me princess, because of the character I don't want to associate myself with. I've really tried to just let it slide, but after 2 months, I talked to my superiors, who said they would talk to her. It's been a month and a half, and still nothing, and she still continues. I've decided to speak to my superiors higher up to hopefully get her to stop, but I'm worried that I might be an a-hole and I'm blowing this out of proportion. Not the jerk. This is work, not high school. You corrected her enough. If you feel this is harassment and no longer something you want to ignore, talk to HR at this point. OP's response: funny enough, we went to high school together, and she had no problem calling me my preferred name then. Another Redditor replies: stop responding to them when they use the wrong name. Don't respond, and if they get funny with you, you can say something along the lines of, "I've told you my name is X, that is the name I respond to." Rinse and repeat. Am I the jerk for making a coworker upset when I corrected her that we were just coworkers and not friends? Kind of a weird post, but it just happened, so I want to know if I'm the jerk. I just left a job that I had for over 2 years. During that time I had come to like many of my coworkers, but I didn't consider them to be friends as, in my opinion, friends are people who you hang out with and are able to text or call out of the blue. I understand that my opinion of friend may not be the universal definition of friend, but I have used this definition in my life and I consider people who fit the above description friends. All others are coworkers and colleagues. So if I don't hang out or text you about non-work related things, then I am not your friend. On my last day at work, a former coworker of mine kept saying they would miss me and kept referring to me as their friend. I reminded them that while I enjoy their company at work, I don't consider us to be friends. They were confused as they thought we were. I reminded them that every time I asked them to hang out outside of work, they would say no and would give reasons that ranged from understandable to ones that were, well, obvious, that they didn't want to hang out with me. I soon realized that maybe we weren't going to be friends and that I had a coworker that was a colleague who I could talk to during work hours. I let them know that I only consider people my friend if I hang out with them outside of work. They tried to laugh it off as if I was not being serious. I told them I was serious and that I would consider them a coworker. They got upset and said that friends come in all different varieties and that we were friends because we had conversations at work. I politely informed them that while they might see that as a friendship, I did not. I saw us as coworkers. My coworker got quiet and didn't continue the conversation. They then called me a jerk for making them upset. I was confused as it was a cordial conversation. Am I the jerk for making my coworker upset that I didn't consider them a friend? You know, you don't always have to say what you think or know to be true if it's of no consequence. If you talk about non-work related things at work, is friend that much of a stretch? A good friend of mine was never able to hang out outside of work. We worked together for years but never saw each other outside of that 9 to 5. Turns out she had a controlling and abusive partner and our friendship at work was the only one she really had. If someone calls themselves overweight, do you have to correct them and say they're technically obese? Not really. Let something slide. You're the jerk. Edit from OP. I forget that sometimes I don't write out what I'm thinking. Just for clarification, the reason I said I did not see us as friends was because this person would go out and hang out with other people from the office and would tell me about it during lunch. Whenever I would ask to hang out, it would always be a polite, "No thank you." And that is fine. That would make us just coworkers. Maybe I am being petty. Coincidentally, I also have friends that I hang out with outside of work from this job. Am I the jerk for not wanting to give up my weekends off for a coworker? So, I, 44 female, have a coworker, 27 male, that we will call Jake. Jake is a single dad to a 3-year-old daughter, Lily, whose mother is not in the picture. When I was hired by my current company, I made it clear that I would not accept the job if weekends were required, as my husband works Monday to Friday, often late nights, HVAC repair in Texas, and if I worked weekends, we would not see each other often. The company agreed, as they planned to hire a part-time administrator to work both weekend days and a few hours on weekday evenings. They hired Jake, and while I work Monday to Friday from 8 am 5 pm, Jake works Saturday to Sunday from 8:30 am 5 pm, and Monday to Friday from 5 pm 8 pm. It's been working out well until this morning. Jake and our boss, Gracie, female 29, approached me to ask that I give up my weekends off for Jake because his family can no longer watch Lily for him on the weekends while he works due to new employment and a move. I would instead be off on Mondays and Tuesdays. Jake says that his family and friends could still help on weeknights, and he could pay for part-time daycare on Monday and Tuesday, but weekends are too expensive. I have worked and raised 2 daughters to adulthood. I'm not lacking empathy for Jake, but I don't want to give up my time with my husband. It would hurt our marriage, and I would be lonely alone at home all day on my days off. I said no, and Gracie confirmed that it was my choice when Jake got upset and told me his daughter was more important here than 2 adults who just wanted to spend time together. He's now saying if he has to find another job it will be my fault for not helping him out. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. The age of his daughters doesn't make his relationship or needs superior to yours. You established the boundary early and it is a reasonable one. Every once in a while may have been okay, but it certainly cannot be demanded. If he needs to find a new job, he needs to find a new job. It sucks, but such is life. He could discuss a small raise for the expensive weekend care with the boss who seems receptive. Edited to add, adults in relationship don't just want to spend time together, they need to spend time together. Something tells me, he has no clue. Not surprised he's single. He does need to find another job. His current one is an off-hours part-time job. As a single father, he needs one that matches daycare hours. Also, it was inappropriate of your boss to approach you with him and not one-on-one. Changing your standard workdays is a drastic change. Not the jerk. OP responds to this. Gracie, my boss, has already apologized for that. She said Jake was going to ask me, and she thought it would be better if Femanja was present as a witness, but she can see how her presence made me feel like she, and therefore, the company, was asking me to do this. I accepted her apology. I even suggested that Jake be allowed to work remotely on Saturday and Sunday. The only aspect of our job that requires physical presence is entering receipts in the spreadsheet and filing them, and that can be done on Monday when I get in. The good news is that if Jake gets approved to work remotely, I'll get approved to work a hybrid schedule, 2 days remote, 3 on-site. Update from OP. Jake will be allowed to work Saturday and Sunday remotely on a trial basis, per my suggestion. I will be permitted to work remotely on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, if I would like to, also on a trial basis. Thank you so much for all of the support and good advice.